Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the program. My name is Marc Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. Howie, you beautiful, beautiful little man, you. I can't believe you did it. I am smitten right now. Have to give up a first-round pick in order to do that, and he only moved up 3 spots, but he doesn't have to 2 spots. If he doesn't have to give up that first-round pick that he acquired and he gets back into it and still gets a good wide receiver, a stud wide receiver, I at least feel a stud wide receiver, and that's what he's getting in DeVonta Smith. That's the one name I mentioned to you yesterday that I said, you know what? If they can't get Pitts, if they can't get Chase, the one guy I really, really want to see how we acquire to make a Philadelphia Eagles, DeVonta Smith. Talk about a speed guy, talk about a route runner, talk about a sure-handed guy, quickness, agile, all that you need in a wide receiver. DeVonta Smith is that guy. And Howie went ahead. And here's the thing. Howie read the market perfectly for this entire time, read the market perfectly. Knew going into it, or at least had a pretty damn good idea back in March, that they weren't going to be able to get their hands on Jamar Chase. They weren't going to be able to get their hands on Kyle Pitts. Wasn't sure whether or not in the early goings of all this, whether or not there was going to be 4 quarterbacks off the board of the top 4, which would tell you at 5 or 6, you'd at least get Chase or you'd at least get Pitts. But he read it perfectly, knowing that the Falcons would say, you know what, let's give it another go with this Matt Ryan guy and get him another weapon in Kyle Pitts. So that's what he did. He also read the market by knowing that the Bengals were going to go after Joe Burrow's favorite target from college by bringing in Jamar Chase. How about that? Howie read it perfectly the whole time. And you know what? I couldn't be more happy to be wrong about doubting Howie at any point during this offseason. And I did say there was the one avenue you could go, one avenue Howie could go to impress us all, and it was this exact avenue. That he trade back into the top 10, and with the 10th overall pick, trades obviously flips 12 for 10, and gives a 3rd-round pick, which, by the way, the Eagles had 2 of going into the draft. So for the people that want to just reach for something just to bitch and moan about, just to be negative about for the sake of being negative, you still have another 3rd-round pick in your back pocket, so you're fine. And you're also getting a nice wide receiver to go with your starting quarterback now in Jalen Hurts. This does so much for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it does so much for the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. We got a lot to get to on today's show. We don't even have it. I didn't even get a guest today. No, there's no guest today. Zatos Investments, you know what they're going to be bringing us instead of the Zatos Investments guest line? They're going to bring us the Zatos Investments highlights of the draft as it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Also, we didn't do a Farzy in the field this week because I was saving something special for you today. I have a lot of people I have to thank that helped me out with this piece, that sent me in their instant fan reactions to what the Eagles were going to do during the draft. I reached out to some people, and they had said, yeah, whatever they do in the draft, I'll have a reaction for you. So they sent me their reactions. We put it together in a nice little package for you, about 2 minutes long. People's instant reactions to what the Eagles did last night. So you yourself can see what the rest of the fan base is saying. I will also be following along throughout the show through your comments on our YouTube page just to gauge your reaction to what the Eagles did last night. But overall, in case you can't tell, I'm in deep smit right now with the Eagles. I love what DeVonta Smith can do on the football field. I love the fact that the guy's a gamer. I love the fact that the guy is willing to play through any type of injury. I love the fact that the guy is he's a slender guy, right? But he's now going to be going to the NFL level. But somehow, magically, in the SEC, he was still able to play a very physical style of football. And when you listen and when you hear, as you will on today's show, when you hear from Andy Weidel, when you hear from Nick Sirianni, when you hear from Howie Roseman, it's amazing how the size thing does not factor in to any of this for them at all when evaluating DeVonta Smith. It all comes down to athletic ability and how he can, with a 166-pound frame, be a physical wide receiver. That, to me, is amazing. And I saw a lot of people coming out there with a lot of different with a lot of different comparisons. My favorite one was the one to Allen Iverson that I know some people have been batting around, and as far as the house, how big they are, how comparable they are size-wise. But for me, I just can't get over the fact. I mean, this is the most excited I've really been after a first-round pick since Fletcher Cox. And when they took him 12th overall, as a matter of fact. I knew they wanted a stud in the middle of the defensive line. I wanted a stud in the middle of the defensive line. They went out and they got Fletcher Cox. I know they needed to have a weapon for Jalen Hurts, not named Jalen Reagor, and that's exactly what they did by getting DeVonta Smith. So for me, this pick is really the first true investment in Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback, because I don't doubt for a second that the Eagles were at least sniffing around to try to move up in the draft to see if maybe they could get a quarterback, and I still think they're going to take a quarterback later in this draft. But I at least think they were sniffing around. They sent a scout out there to see Zach Wilson's workout, and I am in awe of him. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but they opted not to do that. Getting a weapon for your quarterback is the perfect scenario that I laid out weeks ago. Getting him a weapon is why I wanted Kyle Pitts. It's why I wanted Jamar Chase. It's why I still liked Jalen Waddle, but I like DeVonta Smith more. But when you look at these receivers that are on this team before you made the acquisition and traded up to get DeVonta Smith last night, nobody is blowing you away. Now you have someone that already has a bit of chemistry. I think what they talk about when people talk about they both were at Alabama, I think it was a total of 12 catches for 207 yards and I believe 2 touchdowns from Jalen Hurts to DeVonta Smith. So it's not like they have this long history together, but they still practice with one another. Obviously, they're the same school. So there is a familiarity. And when you hear later, I'll let you hear what DeVonta Smith had to say about Jalen Hurts. There is some chemistry there. It's not exactly Montana to Rice of the college years, if you will, but there is still some chemistry there, and that can only be a good thing. So to get somebody that you're already a little bit familiar with, get somebody that you already can be on the same page with, I think is a phenomenal sign that they are investing in Jalen Hurts again for at least this year. They will take a quarterback later, like I said, but right now they went out and they got a weapon for this offense. And to me, I think that's one of the things that is overshadowed in this. It's not just that they got a wide receiver, it's that they got a wide receiver that can be so on the same page as your starting quarterback going into the upcoming season. I can't believe, I really can't believe it. It's too good to be true. I was having a conversation, as a matter of fact, yesterday with a neighbor of mine. And a neighbor said to me, I really want DeVonta Smith. And I said, yeah, so do I. Which makes me feel like they're not going to get DeVonta Smith. I feel like they're gonna take Kwity Paye, for instance, at number 12, and he ended up going like 18 or 19 in the draft. But it just made you feel like because you wanted that DeVonta Smith so bad, it made you feel like they weren't going to get him. But Howie made it work. He traded up above the Giants. He traded up above the Cowboys, getting the pick from the Cowboys, and just all it cost you was a 3rd round pick. To me, this was executed perfectly, played perfectly by the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know some people, very small amount of people, are negative on this. I think that this is just splendid. I could not be more excited about where we are right now with this football team in terms of building for the not too distant future. And for me, a lot of this does come down, and maybe it does for you. Maybe you can hit me up on the comments as well. But for me, it comes down to validating the 2nd round pick of Jalen Hurts a year ago. And that's not to say that he's going to come out, he's going to have some type of MVP type season or anything like that. But just show me and show the rest of the fan base that making that pick last year was more of an investment in the future than we expected at the time. It wasn't just to take a backup quarterback at a good price while you weren't sure what was going to happen during the college football season this past year, but it was also an investment towards the future that if anything really did hit the fan with Carson Wentz, despite all the guaranteed money, you had a backup that could go in there, take over, get some reps, and be at least productive for you as the season winded down. And if things really hit the fan, then you might actually be able to go out there and have a starting quarterback that can be a viable option for you to at least let him have a year this upcoming season to see how he would fare against NFL talent for a full now 17-game schedule, which is just incredible to me. So I think they've went out and done that. I think right now, if you're Jalen Hurts, I think you're sitting back and you're looking at DeVonta Smith. I think you're looking at Jalen Reagor, but you're mostly looking at Smith. you're looking at Dallas Goedert, and you're looking at Miles Sanders, and you're thinking to yourself, if this offensive line stays healthy, there's no excuses here. I have weapons in this offense to put up points. I can create with my legs. I can run for first downs. I'm an athlete in my own right. I can create, like I said. But you also have Goddard, Smith, hopefully Rager. Cross your hands for that. Cross your fingers for that. Maybe you get something out of these guys that you saw flashes of from guys like Greg Ward, guys like Travis Fulgham last year. And then also the default of having Miles Sanders in the backfield. With him and a healthy offensive line, this offense can really put up points. The big question, though, now going into the rest of this draft is whether or not you're going to get some defensive help in the second round. And I would go ahead and assume that, just like we said, with the first couple of picks, quarterbacks going off the board, 1, 2, 3, and then Pitts and then Chase going off the board, like how we read that right. I thought when Patrick Surtain went off the board, J.C. Horn went off the board, I thought that was just Howie gearing up to take that wide receiver. And I told you earlier in the week, and I told you last week, if you see them trading up in the first round, if you see them moving back into the top 10, that was going to mean they were going to go after an offensive player. Because they could have waited and tried to get a run on some defensive players later, edge rushers, for instance, linebackers, for instance. And by the way, Micah Parsons, don't act like he's not going to come up with a big play. It seems like Sean Lee was the perfect example of that. A linebacker out of Penn State was going to come out here and dominate against the Eagles, and that's certainly what was going to happen, and that seems like what's going to happen right now with Parsons. But back to the Eagles and their offense. I knew once they were going to trade up that they were going to go with an offensive player, and I think the theme for this is it's almost too good to be true. So much, though, I know I had a couple of people texting me and tweeting me, some friends of mine, whatever, that were talking about how they love DeVonta Smith going into the draft, but the minute Howie loved DeVonta Smith made you think, oh, damn, well, if Howie likes him, this guy's going to suck. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's not happening. DeVonta Smith is going to be a stud for this football team. He is going to be a guy that we will be looking for to make the big play in every game. It's going to come down to Miles Sanders out of the backfield, or it's going to come down to DeVonta Smith getting off the line of scrimmage and scoring some touchdowns, like we used to see from a guy like Deshaun Jackson all those years ago, like we saw a couple of times in his attempted resurgence with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the type of guy I'm expecting the Eagles to have in this, but also getting off the line of scrimmage. It's just not going to be single high safety like Nick Sirianni pointed out yesterday. Oh, bomb it over the top to DeVonta Smith. No, it's going to be a matter of getting off the line of scrimmage. One of the nuances from Deshaun Jackson's game that I think a lot of people overlook, because they all talk about speed, they talk about the deep route and all that. No. It's all about getting open at the line of scrimmage. And if he can do what this front office and this coaching staff thinks he can do, then he is going to do some special things, because I also think he can do it. We're going to get to some of the cuts, some of the quotes from yesterday's press conference with Howie Roseman, Andy Weidel, and Nick Sirianni. We're also going to let you hear from DeVonta Smith. I still can't believe it. Howie, you beautiful bastard, you did it. I still can't believe I'm saying this name as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles when this is the only name that I really was interested in going into yesterday's show. And I know some of you hit me up on social media yesterday with your excitement and all that. But let me just say this. I think Asante Samuel Jr. is going to be joining the Eagles in the second round. He'll be there in the second round around the time that the Eagles are supposed to pick. I would not be surprised at all if Asante Samuel Jr. joins the Eagles. And it's not so much about him and his play, but obviously we all think about his dad, and his dad was the guy that really was your last marquee corner playing for the Eagles, your last pick six type of guy. And I'll never forget the way it ended here in Philadelphia with Asante Samuel literally coming out and saying, if the Eagles are tired of my big play making ability, then I guess it's time to move on. And since his big play making ability, there really has not been a consistent big play capable type of defensive back on this Eagles team since Asante Samuel came here. The comparisons will be out the wazoo when it comes to him coming to Philadelphia, but I think that's the direction the Eagles are going to go in right now. They're not going to go wide receiver again. I mean, that's not happening. I don't think they go linebacker. I think the spot they go to is corner. My philosophy has always been this way as long as I can remember, especially with the NFL trending more and more towards an offensive game and getting farther and farther away from being a defensive game. is I don't want to invest a corner that high when it's a big need for my team. I hate going for big needs in the first round. I want to take best player available. And I think that's certainly what the Eagles got by taking DeVonta Smith. I think, yeah, sure, it was a need. They needed to have a game-breaking wide receiver. But also, man, I think he was the best player on the board at that point. And I know, who was it yesterday? Man, Mel Kiper. Woof. Yeah, I think he loves him some DeVonta. Like, I really, really, really like DeVonta Smith. He loves him. Mel Kiper loves DeVonta Smith. And by the way, if you're an Alabama fan, holy pots and pans was yesterday a good day for you. Let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer, Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of mom for Mother's Day, all right? Take care of mom for Mother's Day. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. And make sure you buy a beautiful gold-dipped rose from Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. How about a nice sunshine yellow rose that dazzles and sparkles, and you can surprise mom on Mother's Day for this? Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. Each rose dipped in 24-karat gold. It's a real beautiful long stem rose. And Steven always says he's in the love business because he is in the love business. And you know what? This year we found out just how important love is, didn't we? And Steven is showing the love throughout the Delaware Valley right now by taking a portion of the proceeds that he's making from these roses. He's buying food from local restaurants, and he's taking that food to feed our essential workers, our hospital workers, our healthcare heroes throughout the pandemic. So it's a win-win-win. Mom gets a rose, hospital workers get thanked, and our local restaurants get supported as well. It doesn't get much better than that. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. Get yourself a gold dip rose from mom. Take care of mom. Take care of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, each one comes with a personalized message. It's free. Fast and free shipping as well. You can order just in time for Mother's Day at IHateStevenSinger.com. The other corner in 8th and Walnut. The every day, the perfect price at Steven Singer Jewelers. I do want to get to a couple of comments. Now, I want to run through a couple of these before we get to some of the highlights from the press conference, as well as a little joke from Howie Roseman yesterday. I absolutely love a nice a too soon joke, right? Like something happens and it's horrible and somebody makes a joke about it and you go, oh, too soon? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to come up with an example of one because I have a sick sense of humor and I'll get myself in a lot of trouble. But I think you know what I'm saying. The comedian Jeffrey Ross enjoys a too soon joke. But Howie Roseman goes with a too soon joke at the end of the press conference yesterday. And I think it was a little bit of a mic drop moment for Howie Roseman. So we're going to run through a lot of the stuff that they said at the press conference yesterday, as well as that joke from Howie. We'll get to a little bit later. But I do want to get to some of the comments here from people on YouTube, because I know people are extremely excited about what went down last night with the NFL draft and what the Eagles were able to do. So let's start it out here with Ronald just saying, so Howie didn't bleep it up. No, he didn't. It's a damn miracle. Am I dreaming? I think I'm dreaming. No, I'm awake. This is amazing. What else do we have here? Slim Reaper. I like it. Ronald's also just laughing at everything. I like you, Ronald. You're the man. Taylor, I'm confused. Did we not mess this up? No, James, you did not mess this up. Ball out of the ballpark. Home run. They crushed it in this draft so far. First round. Many more rounds to go. 6 more rounds to go. What do they have now? 9 picks remaining. You got 9 picks. Don't mess up those 9 picks, Howie. Now let's get defense. T-Bro, I could not agree with you more. Mally, wait, did the Eagles do this right? Started happy drinking. Don't remember the 10th pick. I almost cracked. If I didn't have a lot of work to do during the draft, like following every pick and watching the press conference afterwards and watching the interview with DeVonta Smith afterwards, if I didn't have all that to do, I was thinking about just putting up a big old bottle of Jack Daniels right here and just sipping it in celebration with all you fine people. But I'm not going to do that because I want to stay focused and give you a good, fresh content show. So those are some of the social media check-in. We're going to continue to do that. We'll do it a little bit later in the show, as per usual, brought to you by our good friends of Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. But without further ado, I said that usually around this time we go to our Zatos Investments guest line, and we talk to a great guest. Today, because of how late everything was last night, how early we're on, obviously, I just wanted to make sure you guys heard from the actual players, the people, the major players in all of this. That is you, the fan, which you'll hear from today in our little fan medley, our little fan package that I put together. And I also want you to hear from Andy Weidel, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, as well as DeVonta Smith himself. So without further ado, here's Howie Roseman at the press conference yesterday, just getting things started, talking about why they were so interested in getting DeVonta Smith.
Really excited to get DeVonta Smith. He was very highly rated on our board, someone who we feel like is not only a great player, but a great person, and will come in and be ready to roll. We talked about it through this draft process about getting guys in here who could help us build the type of culture we want. We had a plan that we talked about, and we had a list of guys that we were really targeting in this draft. And with the amount of picks that we had, the flexibility we had because of the picks, we felt like it was important to get one of those guys, and that's why we made the trade up to go get him.
They had their eyes on a couple of playmakers. I'm sure they still had their eyes on Patrick Surtain. I'm sure they still had their eyes on J.C. Horn. But I feel like once they knew those guys were off the board, and also once the Cowboys realized those corners, and we all know how desperate the Cowboys are for cornerback help and defensive back help, once the Cowboys realized they weren't going to get either of those two corners, they said, all right, we know we can get the linebacker later. Eagles, here you go. Give us that third-round pick. Bada boom, bada bing. Beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop, bop. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Eagles go up and they get the wide receiver that they wanted really all along. And Sal Palantonio had talked about that. We had Reuben Frank on earlier in the week talking about how it was just time to get DeVonta Smith. Yesterday, we were talking to Brandon Lee Gouton of Bleeding Green Nation, talking about how they needed to go and get DeVonta Smith. Keep it simple, stupid. I was on Fox 29 yesterday morning talking about the same thing. That's what you needed to do. Get the wide receiver. And there's a thing here that I want to get to. And I feel like a lot of people want to make themselves feel smart by never wanting a wide receiver. Oh, you're getting away to your offensive line, defensive line. It's the battle. It's always in the trenches. You're not wrong. That's where football is won and lost. But if you get one of these playmaker guys with a young quarterback, especially one that they already have a bit of a relationship with, you can do a lot of masking of them problems that you're talking so much about, especially if you have a quarterback that can create, and then you also have a wide receiver that can get off the line of scrimmage quickly. That does wonders for people. When you have that route open, when you have that guy open so often, then your then your offensive line doesn't have to worry about holding their block for nearly as long as they might for guys that can't get off the line of scrimmage. Here's the guy that impressed me, other than Howie Roseman making this pick. And look, we rip Howie all the time, but this is an example of when you go, oh, wow, Howie, good for you. Good hustle to you, buddy. Other than Howie just making the pick, the guy that impressed me the most yesterday was Andy Weidel. I really enjoyed listening to Andy Weidel break it down. Weidel, I'm not sure. But anyway, I really enjoyed listening to him break down DeVonta Smith and why he was going to be such a good fit here in Philadelphia. Here's Andy Weidel at the press conference yesterday talking about what made DeVonta Smith so special.
We saw a player that is a smooth mover. He can open up and run. And he was a player that can win in all three levels from different alignments. And I think his ability to high point the ball, to play above the rim, to adjust to the football, to make contested catches really stood out. I think another thing about Smith that we really liked about the guy is his selflessness. Not only was he a productive receiver, he was a punt returner. He returned a punt for a touchdown this year against Arkansas. He's been a gunner in the past on the punt team. I mean, you want to talk about a teammate that would go above and beyond and do anything to help his team win. He embodied that. So we're excited to bring him in, excited to have the caliber of receiver that DeVonta brings to us.
I was blown away by Andy Weidel yesterday and everything and how he broke it down with DeVonta Smith. And coming up, we'll let you hear a really specific thing that he talked about in terms of the size. They got asked about DeVonta Smith's size a lot in the press conference yesterday, and it was funny. It was like they never even heard of that problem, which in a way is kind of worrisome. However, forget that. Negativity for later. But no, in all seriousness, it just felt like like whenever they were asked about a guy who weighs 165 pounds, 166 pounds, soaking wet, as they say, it was like, they were like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what? Like, you think this is going to be a problem? You realize this guy played in the SEC, right? You realize this guy got off the line of scrimmage against man coverage, against press coverage every single game, basically, in the SEC. So yeah, he's going to be he's going to be a pretty good wide receiver at the NFL level. That's what the evidence shows. And how often are we talking about drops? Whether it go back to Nelson Aguilar, whether it go to JJR Thega-Whiteside, whoever it might be, how often do we talk about the drop problem with Philadelphia Eagles and not being able to coach up these wide receivers? Well, for all the stuff you could say about Nick Sirianni, he made it pretty basic. And if we went into yesterday, again, talking to Brandon Lee Gouton about how you got to keep it simple, stupid, there is no easier way, there's no simpler way to keep it than how Nick Sirianni kept it with DeVonta Smith yesterday.
The guy does the major requirement of the position is you catch the football, right? That's the major requirement. You got to be able to do that, and he does that exceptionally well. Not only when bodies are around him, when the ball's, no matter where the ball is, it seems like he has a knack to go get it, even when bodies are around him. So super impressed with a lot of things that he can do, and we see a lot of different ways that he can fit our offense.
That's talking about physicality for a guy who's not even 6'1", technically speaking. That's a physical factor that not a lot of people brought up, because all they're talking about is how he is avoiding contact because of his size. And Nick Sirianni is saying, no, it's quite the opposite. He uses his size to advantage. At one point, a little bit later, you hear him talk about how he's wiry. And if you've ever, at any level of sports, if you ever had to play against one of them guys that was just really, really super skinny, like those guys could fit through the crack under a door. Like they just know how to get around you. And what he's saying is that DeVonta Smith is one of those guys. And he put up some great numbers while he was at Alabama. We all know that. And I mentioned the 12 catches he got. Not a lot worth bragging about there from Jalen Hurts. But we're talking about a guy who got most of his yards getting off the line of scrimmage, beating the guy within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, making a catch 10 yards down the line from the line of scrimmage, 10 yards downfield from the line of scrimmage, and then making plays after that. One of the 2 touchdown passes that he did catch from Jalen Hurts, he had more yards with yak than he did anything else, and he scored a touchdown on that play. I think it was against Georgia, as a matter of fact, in overtime. That's what you want to see at the NFL level, too. Guys getting off the line of scrimmage, spelling your offensive line from having to exert any other effort, and also spelling your offensive line from any other contact that they don't have to endure. So guys like Brandon Brooks, for instance, won't have to deal with an injury issue, hopefully. Lane Johnson, the same type of thing. You have Jordan Mailata trying to learn that left tackle position into his next year here, hopefully as a starter in the NFL. Isaac Seumalo is your left guard, who we know has his ups and downs. And then obviously Jason Kelce is your aging center. So all this, like you talk about the run game, and I wish the Eagles would still run the ball more. I doubt that's going to happen, but I hope they do, right? But we always talk about it in the run game. Oh, you got to let your offensive line just make a hit, thud, and done, right? Any offensive lineman you'll talk to is just making that hit and being done. The only offensive lineman I've ever talked to that actually enjoyed pass blocking more than run blocking was Trey Thomas. God bless him for that. He'd rather make the pass block than the run block. 99.9% of every other offensive lineman I ever talked to is like, yeah, man, just give me a run block where I just got to hit somebody and then I'm done. Unless you're like Jason Kelce, we got to bolt downfield to make another block. But we talk about it all the time, just allowing your offensive lineman that break. Instead of trying to hold a block for 3 seconds, they just have to make a block in a second, and then they're good with the running back running down the field. It's very similar in the passing game when you have a guy that can get off the line of scrimmage as quickly as DeVonta Smith can. And that's what you hear from a guy like Nick Sirianni when he's talking about getting off that line of scrimmage. And he talks about it even more here. Here's Nick Sirianni yesterday talking about his new offensive weapon.
Again, he's got great quickness. He's got great quickness off the line of scrimmage, and he's wiry. He's tough to get your hands on, right? So he does move, like we talked about. He does have that quick jab to one direction to move the defender to get him off his spot to get into his route. And even when the guy can somewhat get his hands on, he can kind of get his body off of it. And so that's where it really starts with press coverage is can you win at the line of scrimmage? The other places that correlate to you winning at the line of scrimmage is the ability with the ball in your hands. When you're good with the football, so again, you see this press coverage, and he does beat that. But the other thing that really correlates to the NFL is the way they are with the football in their hands. When they get the ball in their hands, do they have that quick change of direction, with the ability to stick their foot in the ground, make a defender miss, and continue on? And he has that, right? He has that acceleration when they have the angle on him, and he beats the angle and goes, right? And so those are the things that correlate into that press man-to-man. So not only did I see that, when the corners of the team were up in his face, but also when the ball was in his hands.
Nick Sirianni cracks me up, and I can't wait to see him actually coach a game. But the energy that everyone talks about, the enthusiasm that everyone talks about, you really saw it out yesterday as it was like a kid coming downstairs for Christmas, and under the tree was DeVonta Smith. And it's like, oh, my God, what can I do with this? And they're already brainstorming about it. They've been doing that. I actually love the anecdote that Howie got into yesterday, just talking about how at the end of the interview with DeVonta Smith, Howie Roseman said to him, hey, can we come down to Alabama and just bring you back now? Like, that was the type of attitude they had. That was the type of impression that DeVonta Smith made on the Eagles. And I thought it was interesting that DeVonta Smith, when he was interviewed after the draft, said that when he was asked about what their interaction was like, he said that it was great, nothing but good times and smiles and something he'll remember forever. But still, when the Eagles traded up to 10, he was surprised that the Eagles were trading up to get him. And I would like to think that this supposed match made in heaven with his former quarterback and a team that he had such a great interview with, and then him actually trading up, I would like to think that DeVonta Smith at least had an idea that the Eagles were going to take him. But apparently he didn't. No clue. Was surprised, was shocked, as a matter of fact, that the Eagles traded up to get him those two spots and moving ahead of the Cowboys and the Giants. Hey, I'm fine. Whatever got him here in Philadelphia. But listening to Nick Sirianni there, you kind of get more of a feel, a lot more of a feel for how he's going to use him in this offense. And you're going to be talking about how, and he said specifically, he's going to be lined up all over. It's not just going to be on the inside. It's not just going to be on the outside, not just in the slot, whatever it might be. Down. He's going to be used as a decoy. They're going to be using him every single way they can use him. And one of the things that I also thought was interesting was just how diverse they were in how they were going to be using him, and even going to the point of highlighting how he actually returned a punt this past year. If they needed him to go in as a defensive back, he went in as a defensive back at Alabama. So really everything I heard yesterday only gave me more optimism for what he can bring to the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's more for Andy Weidel on the size of DeVonta Smith and how this is something that they just kind of brush off as no big deal.
When I watched him play, what you saw is I saw a guy with length and I saw a guy with toughness. Okay, you catch 117 passes in the SEC, you're doing something right. You set the SEC record for career touchdown receptions, you're doing something right. Okay, but even more so, whenever his team needed him, he stepped up. The moment was never too big for him. And you saw in different situations this year. Jalen Waddle went down, he steps up his game. He showed up in big moments. It was never too big for him. And he was a clutch player for the Crimson Tide. So those are things that really captured the player in what we saw during the evaluation process.
I actually went back and I watched both touchdowns that Jalen Hurts threw to DeVonta Smith, and I'm listening to the national broadcasters on like ESPN break it down and give you the play-by-play, and all I can hear in my head is Merrill Reese, man. All I can hear in my head is Merrill Reese and Mike Quick breaking it down, describing it to you across the airwaves, right? That's all I could hear, and I was basking in it, absolutely basking in it. And there was a suspense part that we're going to get to in the Morning Rush segment that I know a lot of people were going, it's not going to happen, right? It can't happen. No way. Oh my God, it's going to happen. And then it didn't happen. And we'll get to that specifically in just a second. But I do want to let you hear two more things from yesterday as we play for you the Zatos Investments highlights of the press conferences yesterday. And the first thing is just I want to wrap it up with Andy Weidel, with Howie Roseman, and Nick Sirianni. And I want to just put a bow on that with Howie's joke at the end of the day, or at the end of the press conferences there, where Nick Sirianni was describing who else but DeVonta Smith, and Howie just felt like he had to get involved again.
Of who he is, because he did it every single time we were with him.
Did you play rock, paper, scissors?
I did not.
Too soon?
I did not.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Mic drop. Howie Roseman. Did you play rock, paper, scissors? No? Okay. Yeah. Too soon? I love the too soon joke, but Howie, I got to give him credit for it. First off, he's having a good night. He nailed the draft. He nailed the first round of the draft as far as I'm concerned. Give credit when credit's due. He nailed the first round of the draft. I always enjoy a too soon joke. So that's the end of Howie and Nick Sirianni and Andy Weidel. Last thing for you, as far as press conferences go, the last thing I have for you here is DeVonta Smith himself. And and this was interesting to me. And I'll explain why after I play this for you. Jalen Hurts and him, obviously, as we've highlighted, played together in college, whatever. But I didn't expect this. And I'll explain why later. This is when he was asked about kind of the chemistry and the relationship that he had with Jalen Hurts while they both were at Alabama. Here is DeVonta Smith, the new Eagles wide receiver.
I mean, Jalen kind of taught everybody the game. I mean, he was just one of those guys that was a student of the game, and he kind of taught everybody the game. So when you're getting reps with him, he's always telling you about coverages and rotations and things like that. So, I mean, the connection is there, the chemistry is there, and it's just overall, he just always helped everybody else be better on the field.
I'm shocked by that. And the reason I'm shocked by that is because if you remember last year, Doug Peterson, when he was addressing the media and was asked about how much Jalen Hurts knew the playbook, how accustomed is he to the playbook and play calling and scheme and all that, Doug Peterson was like, yeah, he knows enough to play. Like, that's not the answer you want to hear. The answer you want to hear is, oh, man, this guy's just crushed his playbook. He's in here. He understands our schemes. He's a brilliant guy and this, that, blah, blah, blah. You didn't hear that from Doug Peterson. Oh, he knows enough to play. And then we hear from Jason Avant, who was on the coaching staff all last year, who was on our show when around the time we were just starting the program. And he goes, even when Jalen Hurts doesn't know the play, he'll make the play. He knows enough. He'll make a play with his legs. He'll create time for his receivers, whatever it might be. And I'm like, that's still not good. I'd still rather him know the play and then make the play. Like, that's good, right? Quarterback should do that. So when I heard DeVonta Smith say that last night, that he was basically there at Alabama explaining to people what the play was going to be, what the game was going to be, and he taught people the game, I thought, all right, great. Maybe it was. Maybe, everybody learns different, okay, to use that old cliche. Maybe he does need to be in the building. Maybe he does need to practice more with his teammates. Maybe he's not the guy that could just sit there on a Zoom call, on a Zoom meeting, and a Microsoft Teams meeting, right? Maybe he's not that guy that can learn like that. As someone who has difficulty learning in that environment, I can absolutely tell you people have trouble learning like that. Maybe he's one of those guys. Not that I'm trying to memorize plays, obviously, but I know a lot of people are having that issue nowadays with the way the world is. But maybe he is that type of guy. Maybe that's why, as Boston Scott said last week, maybe that's why Jalen Hurts is at the NovaCare Complex every day. Does not leave the NovaCare Complex, is working his ass off to take advantage of this opportunity. Whether he's a first-round pick, whether he's a second-round pick, or whether he's a sixth-round pick, doesn't matter. He's going to make the most of the opportunity he's going to get when he's on the football field. And I think the Eagles made their first legit investment in him, not by trading away Carson Wentz because those parties blew that up. It's their own damn fault. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts right now, getting him a toy, getting him a weapon in the first round is the first time I really believe that the Eagles are looking at him and saying, all right, this is our quarterback. This is our starting quarterback. And they can talk about competition all they want. The fact is they did not take a quarterback in the first round of this draft. They did not trade up and take a quarterback. They're not taking a quarterback in the first round, obviously. They're not going to take a quarterback, I think, till the later rounds of this draft. I think their next pick, as I said already, is Asante Samuel Jr. I think that's who they're taking in the second round because they do need cornerback help, and the second round won't be a bad spot to take a corner. But when it comes to just the evaluation process of what the Eagles feel and how the Eagles feel about Jalen Hurts, I think in getting DeVonta Smith, it's their first investment. Hey, we're getting you a first-round pick to play with here, one that you're familiar with. Go get him, fella. That's what I think this says about Jalen Hurts. The fact that they're willing to give him a weapon to make him look pretty damn good this early, all systems go as far as I'm concerned. So that was DeVonta Smith on his time playing with Jalen Hurts. I'm seeing a lot of the comments up here. We're going to get to even more of them coming up in just a minute here. But I do want you to hear from some of your peers, ladies and gentlemen. I do want you to hear from some of your peers. And that is, we did not do a Farzy in the field this week because this was going to be the lead story, the NFL draft. And I wanted to get enough fan reactions. So without further ado, I reached out to some people before the draft last night, and I said, I'd love to get your take. Whatever your take is, approve, disapprove, whatever it might be, it can be right as the draft pick is happening, or you can take a minute, mull it over, because I ain't sleeping tonight. And you can think about it and then shoot me a video. I'll put it together in a nice little package. We're going to call it the Fan. FanUp always brings us our Farzy in the field. FanUp brings us the Fan React. So without further ado, here it is, brought to you by FanUp, the FanUp instant fan reactions from last night's NFL draft.
The Dallas Cowboys have traded the 10th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the 10th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select...
I'm going to throw up.
DeVonta Smith, wide receiver, Alabama.
Yeah! Woo! Oh.
He did it, Eagles fans. Howie Roseman actually made a good pick.
Yes. 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 They didn't mess it up, Mark. Yes.
Love the pick. DeVonta Smith. What a genius. Howie Roseman. Awesome.
Okay.
Great pick, Howie. You did your due diligence for Jalen Hurts. Finally getting the man some weapons.
Howie, you son of a bitch. You made the right pick. I criticize you every single day, but DeVonta Smith is the right pick, and he is a game changer.
Howie finally go with a dependable pick here at number 10 and one of the most elite wide receivers in this draft, as well as giving his young QB some weapons. You love to see it.
Great value. Didn't have to give up too much, and I absolutely love it. Howie, job well done.
He didn't take Mac Jones. He didn't take Justin Fields. He took wide receiver out of Alabama, DeVonta Smith. Let's go, Bird!
We're still got 3 number ones next year. This is great. This is great. I love it. Go Birds!
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
I do want to point out no babies were harmed. I don't think that was a real baby, but you get the idea. My thanks to everyone that contributed to that. A whole slew of people I have to thank. Mike and Delran, what's up, buddy? Thanks for doing that. Jimmy Smith, you know him from the On the Road to Victory podcast, 4th and John as well. My old friend Graf in Media. By the way, I'm still waiting on that new tackle box there, Graf. Appreciate it. I know you're a new dad and all. What about me? Anyway, Mike Fuji does a great job with Broad Street South Sports Talk. You guys do a phenomenal job. Dom Patton, good job by you. Barry the Hatchet Vagnoni, my man, Pots and Pans. And then that other guy, Mr. Anonymous. One of the BM Anonymous. Whoever that guy was. And also the guys at the Fourth Man Up podcast. They did their podcast a week or so ago. Those guys were a lot of fun. So thanks to everybody that contributed to that with their reactions to last night's draft. Dom was the only one. He was the guy in the piece there by FanUp that was a little hesitant. He was the guy that said he was going to throw up. Wasn't as excited, wanted Parsons instead, but is happy. Told me later he's still happy about being able to get a wide receiver for Jalen Hurts in this regard. So that was at least a good sign. So thanks to all those people that contributed to the piece yesterday. I believe I got you all. Yeah, I did. All right, so thank you to everyone that participated in our FanUp piece. By the way, FanUp, ladies and gentlemen, download the FanUp app in the App Store. Get yourself 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. FanUp is a great app to have a lot of fun in fantasy sports, personalized bets that you can make on the site itself, on the app itself. And they were certainly having a lot of fun with people trying to guess who was going to be going next in the draft last night. So go right now to the App Store, download the FanUp app, get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. The days of playing fantasy sports alone are over. Enter FanUp Super Fun daily and weekly contest, answer fun questions, and rise on the leaderboard. You can also squad up with your friends and have yourself a great time. You could be the real MVP. May the best fan win with FanUp. Download the FanUp app in the App Store. Use promo code FANUP to get 2,000 bonus points. That's FanUp. May the best fan win. Also win great brand prizes with FanUp. And how about my friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com? Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you can enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. It's unreal. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. So you know they know a thing or two about steaks. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. I also want to tell you about the great people at PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. PHLSportsNation.com. Also, Zatos Investments always brings us our Zatos Investments guest line every day. And today they brought us some great press clippings from the press conferences going on. So Zatos Investments, an up-and-coming luxury real estate and development company in Philadelphia. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes all around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction townhomes and condo buildings. Zatos also works closely with their private investor base to provide them with substantial returns on their investment, ranging from 20 to 40%. These are crushing the Philadelphia real estate game right now. So go ahead, hit them up. Go to info@ZatosInvestments.com to learn how you too could invest and how you can reach out to them, or simply visit ZatosInvestments.com to check out their properties and also learn how you too could be an investor. That's ZatosInvestments.com. Let's go with our social media checking on some more of these comments here from all the great people around Philadelphia. Social media check-in is brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. A lot of people excited right now. Our friends at Nasty Knuckles checking in saying, did we miss the Flyers segment already? Yeah, you did. I mentioned them yesterday that they were playing that night, but there you go. Great reactions. James writing in. Who else we have? Mally, where the hell you been, brother? Worried. I was worried sick about you. Mally has a lot to say today, making up for lost time. What else do we have here? April saying, not going to lie, still feeling shocked that Howie didn't screw this up. April, we all feel the same way. Like, I had that feeling yesterday while watching the draft, and I even tweeted it out. So you know I felt it. I was happy. I was watching a draft, and I felt happy. I was like, this is a great feeling. I wish I felt like this a lot more often. But unfortunately, I don't. Like yesterday, I tweeted out, after the show, I tweeted out that it felt like the entire country was like, yeah, it's draft day. And I felt like in Philadelphia, it was like, oh, God, please don't hurt me. Oh, please. Oh, that's what it felt like. But, Dory, and you know what? Speaking to Jimmy, who was in the piece there, he was like, no, Mark, don't lump me in. I feel good. I'm going to will it into existence that the Eagles are going to do a good job in this draft. It's one pick. It's one pick in 7 rounds. Off to a good start. Off to a very, very, very good start. Taylor's checking in saying, yeah, Howie couldn't do this for Carson. Interesting. That's why they messed up so bad last year, not taking Justin Jefferson. If you take Justin Jefferson, we might be talking about a totally different thing here. What else do we have? Confused by what happened. We're all confused because we're all actually happy with what Howie did and what the Eagles did in the draft. Good move. Ian saying, yeah, it's a great move, I think. It's T-Brow. I always think I mess up your name. Asante Samuel Jr. Sheesh. Let's go. Let's keep the party started. Thank you for the love, Farzy. We appreciate it. From Broad Street South, Fuji is absolutely a nut. Philip Fanatic is chiming in. You're damn right, Mike Fuji's absolutely a nut. He was at the draft party. I will say this also. The Eagles do a phenomenal job at the draft party. And we have a little something coming up here, as a matter of fact, from the draft party last night. What else do we have? I want to get a couple more of these here on our social media check-in. Don't tempt him. I was going to say the same thing. I promise. Give me time. Give him time. He'll still mess it up. Why we got to be like that? See, why when we have a nice thing do we got to go, how can I ruin it? Remember the movie Tommy Boy? Remember towards the end of the movie? I don't want to ruin it for people that haven't seen it. It's only been out like 20 years. 25 years? Anyway. Remember the scene when he's talking to Helen. That's nice. You look like a Helen. Remember that scene there in the diner? It's him and David Spade, the whole movie. And they're talking about, let me tell you why I suck at being a salesman. And Chris Farley goes to that whole riff, and he gets the pretty new pet, and he massages it, right? Let's just keep massaging the pet. Let's not go, oh, I killed it. I killed my sale. We don't need to do that. We could just enjoy it, right? Let's just enjoy it. Let's not be those people. Let's not be Tommy Boy. Let's not kill the sale. Let's enjoy it. Anyway, I digress. Thank you, everyone, who checked in on our social media check-in, brought to you by the great people of Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's jump in now to our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. Oh, T-Bro. I did say it right. It is T-Bro. Hey, look at us. Fantastic. Brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Thanks, everyone, who checked in. Now it's time for our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. Morning rush. First off, let's take a step outside Philadelphia for a second, and let's go to a little town I like to call Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is one of my favorite places to visit. Beautiful, tropical Green Bay, Wisconsin. Okay, so the Eagles messed up the Carson Wentz situation, and Carson Wentz messed up the Carson Wentz situation. But how the hell did the Green Bay Packers mess up the Aaron Rodgers situation as badly as they have? He wants out of Green Bay. Before the draft took place yesterday, Adam Schefter was dropping nuggets right on Twitter, and it was all about how, Aaron Rodgers disgruntled. Aaron Rodgers upset. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be in Green Bay anymore because of how bad they screwed him over by taking a quarterback last year in the first round. Dumb, stupid, period, awful, dumb ass, period, stupid. And now he wants to get the hell out of Green Bay. Light a match in Green Bay. Couldn't believe what I saw. Only went out there and became the MVP again. Shame, Green Bay. Shame. What else do we have here? This is what I want to get to about the draft party last night. The Eagles always do a great job with the draft party. Last night, before the draft, Nick Sirianni went out and actually played catch with Eagles fans outside Lincoln Financial Field. I thought that was awesome. It's out there. I don't have the clip for you, but it's out there. I'm sure you'll be able to find it easy today. Nick Sirianni just out there throwing. You know what? He found some people that love ball. He always talks about guys that love ball, and I think he found some guys that love ball yesterday. Also part of our morning rush, Phillies lost yesterday. That happened. Hector Neris actually went in there at the end of the game, and I believe he plunked Paul Goldschmidt. So that was good to see. At least there was some retaliation. Unfortunately, Aaron Nola. How about this? They win the game that Vince Velasquez starts. They lose the game that Aaron Nola starts. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And also, that Odubel Herrera character, what do you know, still sucks at baseball. Now I believe over his last 6 months, he's batting .220. The last 6 months that he's played baseball at the major league level. So I know this goes back a couple of years. And that includes these couple of games that he's played so far this year. But 4 now. He's a 220 hitter. I know that there's more important off the field stuff to discuss with Odubel Herrera, but just speaking about him as a isolated, just as a baseball player, he sucks, which is right in line with the rest of the center field production, I will say, for the Phillies. I still rather go with Mickey Moniak and have him work through struggles and actually get more big league experience and invest in a 22-year-old as opposed to a 29-year-old that I think's IQ will never get above 4 in the major league level again. So there's that. Phillies end up splitting their series, unfortunately, with the Cardinals in the loss yesterday. Although, basically, I think it was actually, did it go down as a wild pitch with Hale coming into the ball game? Them's the breaks with a 10-inning extra inning with a runner on second base. He advanced after 1 out to third base, wild pitch. He ended up scoring, and the Phillies lose the game, and that's all she wrote. So the Phillies lost that game, and the Flyers did lose last night. So that's the rest of it. Also in our morning rush segment today, the Sixers are back in action tonight. They'll take on the Atlanta Hawks once again, and hopefully they'll be able to blow them out of the water. We'll get to them again in our Big Bets segment. Real quick, go back to the NFL draft and all that took place last night. I do want to say this. Another great thing from the draft, Roger Goodell. Like, here's the thing. I'm like over booing commissioners. Like, I think, has that had its time? Is that over yet? Because I just think it's become like actually, what's the word? Cliche, a little too cliche, I guess. I actually give credit to Roger Goodell for bringing the leather chair from his basement for the stage. I thought that was pretty cool. And also, I thought it was pretty cool that fans got to sit in that chair before they would make a pick for their respective teams. I thought that was pretty cool. But I actually give Roger Goodell a lot of credit because I think he took a page out of the late David Stern's book and saying, like, all right, come on, bring it on. And if you remember in Stern's last draft as the commissioner of the NBA, he was just saying, come on, is that all you got? Bring it on. And I'm like, good for you there, Mr. Stern. Good for you. And I think Roger Goodell has tried to play into that a little bit more. Oh, I'm sorry. There's one commissioner I don't mind booing at all, and that's Rob Manfred, so whatever. But as far as the commissioner of the NFL, I think we're past it. And I give him a lot of credit for bringing the lounge chair. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. So that's the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Now it's time for our big bet segment. Last night, I gave you a bet, and once again, that bet hit. I believe now I am 8-1 in my last 9 picks for you. Nice little run for you once again, folks. Last night it was the Nuggets minus 4.5 going up against the Raptors. Nuggets beat the Raptors, covered that point total, so you're good to go as far as, or spread rather, you're good to go. Tonight, Sixers go up against Atlanta and South Philly once again. I will be at the game. Me and my buddy Bennett, we're going to a Sixers game tonight. He hit me up. He said, Mark, I got tickets. You want to go? I said, you're damn right I want to go. I'm all vaxxed up. I got my mask. I haven't had stadium nachos in a long time. I look forward to going down there, having myself a beer or 2 or 5, and just having myself a good time. I'll also report back. Maybe I'll post a couple of pictures, videos, whatever, on social media for those that are curious about what's going on there at the Wells Fargo Center during what's going on in the world, basically. So I'll try to get you some stuff on that. But Sixers minus 9 going up against the Hawks. I feel like the Sixers are in statement mode. I love the Sixers at minus 9 tonight. I'm all over that one. If you're not as cocky as I am, here's another one for you. Wizards minus 7 going up against the Cavs. I like the Wizards being able to cover that minus 7 against the Cavs. So I see those happening for you tonight in our big bets segment. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging with me today, folks. I sure as heck hope you're as excited and as happy as I am about this acquisition by the Philadelphia Eagles. I just feel like it's so rare that the vast majority of people are anticipating the pick and they actually get the pick that you were anticipating, the pick that you wanted. And I teased it earlier, and I want to close with it. There was a moment that I thought Quarterback Factory was rearing its ugly head. When you saw the run on corners happen with Patrick Surtain, with J.C. Horn, and then you saw Mac Jones was still on the board. Then you saw Justin Fields was still on the board. I think we all looked at each other, metaphorically speaking, in Philadelphia, and we're like, oh my God, it's about to happen. Which, by the way, selfishly, I was rooting for because we have those Quarterback Factory t-shirts available on FarzyShow.com. But as a football fan, as a Philadelphian, I didn't want it to happen because I was not interested at all in Justin Fields. I thought if you weren't going to go up there and get Zach Wilson, you knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to Jacksonville, so forget about that. And I really wasn't interested in Trey Lance. Zach Wilson was the only quarterback I really liked in this draft that I thought the Eagles had a shot at getting. Justin Fields, no interest. Mac Jones, no interest. But other than that, I thought even if Jalen Hurts falls flat on his face, you still have 3 draft picks next year to basically do whatever you want in the NFL draft, whether that's move up and get a quarterback next year or hold on to a couple of those picks for the following year to maybe get another quarterback that might be coming out. I'd rather invest in Jalen Hurts and just see what he has for you this year as a starting quarterback and evaluate whether or not he has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. So that was my take on last night, and I know we all kind of looked at each other for a brief moment going, oh my God, the Quarterback Factory is about to happen again. Unfortunately, it did not. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining the show today. Thanks for all the people that commented, that follow the show, that subscribe. We had a bunch of subscribers this week, so I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, this was just a blast to talk NFL draft with you all morning. We'll be back with you guys on Monday to talk some more about this draft and recap everything that took place with the Philadelphia Eagles and the more additions that they're going to be making. We'll also see if Zach Ertz gets traded today. We'll also see if Zach Ertz gets traded over the weekend. As our good friend Adam Kaplan said, that it's looking very, very likely that that's what happens. So thanks for listening today. Thanks for watching today. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. And thanks again to all the people that participated in our FanUp instant reactions. Thank you so much to all the good people that were able to take part in that as well. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Let's go Sixers, and let's try to have some fun this weekend. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm Marc Farzetta from the Steven Singer Studios. Take it easy, everybody.